Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. What If copy system in Naruto will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if Transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a Marine? What if Transmigrated as Minato Namikaze? What if Transmigrated into a nightmare mode Dragon Ball world? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 51, After Party. Edward POV. The reason I am joining the party in the middle of the ocean is quite simple. An escape. I wanted to escape from my life and just steer clear from any work or troublesome matters and just bask in the concert sense of fulfillment right now. I want to let loose, and I don't want to be treated as a 14-year-old boy over there. I just need one day to live my adult life once more, the kind of life that was the norm for me before I was put into this child's body. I had been living as Edward Newgate for 26 days now. I just want to feel as Edward Franzetti for one. Well, that was the kind of internal struggle I had before I decided to go to the after party. Right now, the concert aftermath was spreading quickly and I knew that my life would change completely after this. Paparazzi, obsessive fans, special treatment and future expectations, all of it would come raining down on my current life, completely changing it. At the very least, I hope that my friends won't change the way they treat me and continue as if nothing had changed. I sincerely hope for that. Third-party POV. That man is a god. Jacob murmured as he was reminded of Edward flirting with Taylor on top of the stage in front of a crowd of 5,000 people. What god? Elsa asked as Jacob was suddenly talking to himself as they were driven home by Mr. Green. The trio was sitting in the same position as before, with Elsa in the middle, Jacob behind the passenger seat, and Jenna behind the driver's seat. And nothing. What are you girls going to do now? Jacob asked to change the subject. Hey! Call him. Jenna demanded after being quiet for a while. What, why? He must be tired after the performance. Didn't we already call him to congratulate him before? Before they left, they had called Edward and talked to him for a minute before Edward said he was already on the way home. Yeah. But he said he's going to the after party, right? Do you know what happens there? It will be a full-blown sex party. Jenna said with a raised voice. Jacob couldn't help but become nervous and looked at the front of the car. Luckily his mom was taking a nap as she was too tired from the concert. Phew! Jacob breathed in relief before saying to Jenna, "It's Edward. Do you really think he will do degenerate things? He was in a relationship before. Now, he's single. Who knows what he will do now?" Jenna asked in desperation as she couldn't help but imagine the mingling of bodies on top of the ship, just like the scene she saw once in her house after sneaking back when her mom sent her away to play while she had some people over. Elsa patted Jenna's shoulder and comforted her. "It's okay. It's okay. Do you want to sleep at my house tonight?" Elsa added as she knew Jenna was hesitant to go home whenever her mother was working. Jenna nodded and said meekly, "Okay." In Mitch and Cam's car, Haley and Tara were hesitant to tell Abby what had happened on the stage before this. Mitchell interjected their conversation and said, "Just tell her. It'll be better for her to know that so that it can be easier for her to move on." "But Uncle Mitch, we don't want her to move on," Haley said in a begging tone. "Haley, you can't force love. Edward and Taylor clearly have something going on in between them. As a good friend, you need to support him." Cam interjected. "Uncle Cam. That's a crime," Haley said in exasperation. Edward POV. As I walked along the crowd in the party, I noticed that Taylor and a lot of the other participants in the party had gone to sleep while only some sporadic guests were partying at the ship's deck. Well, I thought she was asleep. She was actually sitting inside her room, rewatching the YouTube video of the performance a few times while working on the melody for You Belong With Me song. In less than 3 hours, the video of our performance had hit 500k views, and it would be the fastest video to ever reach 1 million in YouTube in 2009. Taylor didn't know why. The more she watched the performance, the easier it was for her to create the melody that she had been stuck on for almost a year now. Hey, Romeo is here. Juliet is sleeping though. Kaya muttered with her cheeks flushed. She walked staggeringly towards me before clinging onto my body just to stand up properly on top of the deck. As we were having a boat party, she was only wearing a golden-colored bikini and short pants like the rest of the dancers. Some even decided to walk around topless on top of the deck. You're drunk, I said with a scrunched eyebrows. No. I'm nude, Kaya replied with slurred speech. I saw some of the studio execs laughing as they offered alcohol to the underage dancers and were touching them inappropriately as they danced with the drunk dancers. Although this type of behavior was normal in Hollywood, for me personally, to mislead the dancers with promises of fame and reputation by casting them in movies or music videos was a disgusting behavior. Why don't you rest in my room first till you sober up? I said to Kaya before leading her away from the slimeball studio execs. No. He said he'll make me an Ironette, for the Iron Man movies. Kaya tried to resist, but she was too drunk to even walk properly. I walked her to my room and slammed her down on the bed. Sue Ruff? Is this how you like it, Ed? Kaya muttered before I said, go to sleep. As I turned my back to her, she suddenly clinged onto me and said, wait, don't you want to do it with me? I turned back facing her and pushed her forehead slightly with my finger. Her body fell easily on the bed, and she crossed her legs while biting her lower lips. Be rougher, I won't mind dash. Go to sleep. I'ma get Anna too. You girls are too drunk, and something bad is going to happen to you tonight if you continue dancing with those greaseballs. Hey! Kaya tried to protest, but I had already walked out of the room and turned off the lights. When I walked in after getting Anna, who was surrounded by 3 middle-aged men and was already tricked by those men to take her top off, Kaya was snoring loudly in the room as she was too tired from the concert before this. Sleep here for tonight, I said to Anna before throwing her on the bed too. As she was barely conscious, she automatically wrapped her legs around Kaya and sucked on her neck as she lay down. I didn't want to wait and see what was going to happen to them, therefore I walked out of the room and joined the party. There weren't any underage or immature girls on top of the deck now, so I just let the execs do their hunting while I talked to some of them. Wait. You're working with Sarah Finn? I asked the Asian female assistant casting director that I was talking to. Why yeah. But not that guy though. He's only tricking the girls, therefore I already reported him to Sarah, and he is fired now. He just doesn't know it yet. Ah, I see. Do you want me to get the crew and lock him up in the mini jail we have? I asked teasingly. The 29-year-old girl with a thick glasses frame on her face and a sweater instead of a bikini chuckled before she said, Are you the big boss here? I thought this was your dad's ship. I'm the grand boss. My dad is the big boss. I joked. She thought that I was just a teenager cracking some jokes, therefore she laughed and accidentally snorted. She became very embarrassed after that and covered her mouth quickly. Sorry. She apologized. No need. I thought that it was cute. I said. You're very smooth, Mr. Newgate Dash. Please, just call me Ed. Mr. Newgate is my father. Ah. Okay. Ed. Please don't grow up to be a player or a greaseball, okay? I laughed and said, okay. As we talked for a while, I found out that the Iron Man 2 movie was in the initial stage of production right now and the Ironette dancers casting was indeed true, but the dancers would need to properly audition for the part. The only reason she was there right now was because Taylor's agency dancers had a lot of prestige in the industry, therefore they were trying to scout some potential actresses/dancers for the Ironette part. Do you want to hear the plot for the movie? Lynn said in a teasing tone as she already had too much to drink. I won't tell you. Want to make a bet? I said with a sly smirk. What bet? Lynn asked, intrigued. If I guess the plot of the story, then you will recommend and help my friends throughout the whole audition process. And if you fail? What do you want if I fail? She pointed at me and said with a sly smile, you're going to be one of the background actors. Deal. I said, and we shook hands to finalize the bet. Let me start by guessing the main villains first. I said and pretended to think about it. Ivan Vanko, or Justin Hammer, or maybe both, I muttered. Lynn widened her eyes and accidentally gripped the cup hard, spilling most of her drinks as the plastic cup was crushed. Who told you that? Shrugging my shoulders, I said, I'm just guessing. But from your reaction, I guess I was correct. Sobering up quickly, Lynn said, you still need to guess the plot. Let me see, so, Tony will be dying. Lynn staggered and needed to hold on to the railing just to keep herself standing up despite her shock. And S.H.I.E.L.D. will try to save him because his dad was a founder and former director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe Nick Fury will place Natasha Romanoff inside his company to get closer to him. Lynn shut my mouth with her palm before looking left and right to make sure no one else heard about the plot. Why you? How do you know the plot? MPH. I mumbled. What? She asked in confusion. Removing her hand, I said, how was I supposed to answer when you were keeping my mouth shut like that? Sorry. Like I said, I was just guessing. After a few more shocks, Lynn finally realized that she had lost the deal and reassured me that she would honor her part of the deal. It was almost 2 a.m., and there were less than 5 people left on deck right now. Whether they were sleeping alone or sleeping together with the execs, the party was almost dead right now from the lack of people. I, however, was not feeling tired thanks to the nap I had already taken before coming here. I walked around the ship till I entered the captain's place. Hey, you're ready, right? Dwayne asked as I walked to the yacht bridge with a red-colored plastic cup in my hand. Yup. Before I could finish answering, he snatched the cup from my hand and smelled it hurriedly. Orange juice. He muttered in relief after he realized there wasn't any alcohol inside the cup. Good choice. Of course. We're not serving drinks here at this party, right? I smirked as I heard that. Well, we do. Just not to you, Dwayne replied hesitatingly. As Taylor was still under 21 years old, the business's model didn't allow the ship's crew to serve the participants of the party without looking at their ID first. However, we also allowed the party people to bring their own drinks to the boat in order to circumvent that very same rule. That way, we wouldn't lose our alcohol distribution license if we'd accidentally served a minor in the bar. Don't worry, Dwayne. I am the one who set up those rules. And I won't be the one to break them. I said as I had a nice conversation with Dwayne the Boulder Johnson. The Boulder was his old nickname in the Navy. It was almost 3 a.m. when I finally saw Taylor walking out of her room to join the party. As the dancers had gotten their rest, a lot of them had already joined the party, making the environment lively once more. I guess I need to go mingle now. Good luck, Johnson. I waved to Dwayne before walking out of the cabin room. Please don't drink too much. I still need to answer your dad after this. Dwayne begged me as I exited the door. Chuckling a little, I said, okay. I will make sure to be sober before we get back to the port. That's my boy. Dwayne smiled and waved me off to have fun. As I walked on the deck, I saw Taylor looking around as if she was searching for something. She was wearing a short skirt, a one-piece, white dress that gently swayed in the windy ocean, and her cheeks were a bit red from the cold wind. Hey! I called out to her from afar. Where is Ah? Taylor noticed me from my shout and ran toward me hurriedly before she hugged me. Oof. All of the air inside my lungs was forcefully pushed out as she tackled me. I did it! Taylor released me and said in excitement. Did what? I asked perfunctorily as I rubbed my sore ribs. I finally finished the melody for You Belong With Me. She announced loudly, causing the crowd over there to give her a round of applause. She finally realized that we were in the middle of a party and thanked the people there for their support before dragging me into her cabin to have a private talk. Her cabin was the biggest cabin one in the ship, where there was a king-size bed in the middle of the room. The luxurious suite had its own kitchen and fully stacked booze compartment. As Taylor was underage, the booze compartment was emptied, but she did bring her own liquor. Tequila? She offered me playfully. Just kidding. Yes, please. I took the offer before she could change her mind. Wait, you drink? Taylor was baffled by the sudden development as I picked up 2 shot glasses, some lime and salt packet, before sitting next to her on the edge of the bed. Sometimes. Yeah. I replied ambiguously before taking off the tequila bottle cap. After 30 minutes. While giggling, Taylor said, "Okay, this time. You're going to lick the sugar from my neck." She sprinkled some salt on her slender neck, do the shot, and then get the lime. We had already done 5 shots and her initial inhibition for drinking had disappeared. "Okay," I said gleefully and licked the salt from her neck. Taylor moaned before she patted me to stop and said, "Shot, and then lime." "Ah, okay," I said and took the shot. I looked around and found out that the lime was gone. "Where is it?" I asked hurriedly. "Here," Taylor said and showed the lime inside her mouth. I laughed and stuck my tongue into her mouth before it turned into a full-blown make-out session. "Before we turn the session into something a little more fun," Taylor said, "I'm going on a 9-month to a year tour after this. So this will be just a one-time thing." "Sure. It will just be a drunken mistake for us. Not to mention the kerfuffle you would get into if this actually got out," I said as we kissed each other. "I don't know why, but that sounds really hot," she said before taking off her clothes. After Taylor and I slept together, I returned to my room after avoiding Dwayne and the rest of the party people so as to not create any scandals. "She is sluttier than I thought," I murmured as I entered my room. Kaya and Anna were still sleeping on my bed, therefore I just took a blanket and a pillow before sleeping on the floor. The clock struck 12 p.m. I was alone in my small cabin room when I suddenly heard a small knock on the door. "Who is it?" I asked groggily as I raised my head from the pillow. I was sleeping face down on top of the twin-sized bed and parts of my hair were sticking out as if I was licked by a cow. "It's Kaya. Get up. Let's go get lunch." I stood up slowly and changed my clothes without making a sound and without realizing that Kaya had opened the door to wake me up. She exclaimed with lustful eyes as she got a peek behind the curtain as I changed my underwear in front of her. "Perv," I muttered when I noticed she was watching me and walked out to the buffet together with the dancer. I dined with Kaya and Anna while sharing stolen glances at Taylor during the meal. "Hey, there is something I need to ask." A movie studio exec walked to me with an offer for the song 2 is Better Than 1. Twilight movie? I muttered as I heard the details. Yes. The director listened to the song and wanted to use it as the movie OST. The not-so-important exec said. I thought for a while before saying, "Okay. I have no problem with it, just run the offer by Pepper. I will talk to Taylor about it." It was a good opportunity to get some publicity for the song. Even though I abhor Twilight, it doesn't mean that the movie was terrible. With a humongous fan base for romantic genres all over the world, turning the duet into an OST would help me increase my reputation as an artist. Something that would be a great help for my aim to become a studio artist in the future. I need to work hard to cement my image into the people's mind and hearts before getting out of the public eye. The party moved faster than I expected it to be. At 4 p.m., the boat was finally turning back to get home. The expected time of arrival to the marina was 8 p.m., therefore we had 4 more hours to party. That was when the people here really went crazy. Motorboating the girls' chest, doing shots, dry humping in public before they walked to the corner and just went to town on each other. Some people even used MDMA to party, and a lot more stuff a kid shouldn't see. "Okay. You're done." Dwayne picked up the back of my neck like a kitten, metaphorically, although I know he could do that and pull me into somewhere I would be safe from the hedonistic activity currently going on in front of me. He threw me in my room before warning me, "Don't come out. You've partied enough already. Just rest before we arrive home." "Okay," I said as I pretended to be obedient and laid down on the bed. Dwayne showed a fatherly smile before saying, "Good boy. For that, I won't report to your dad the fact that you have obviously been drinking. You're a good friend," I said to Dwayne before he walked back to the ship's bridge, feeling content as I took his words seriously. The minute that he had disappeared from the hallway, I sneaked out quietly to rejoin the party before I saw Taylor walking sneakily to where I was. Without talking much, she pulled me by my hand to get to her room and shut the door. Of course, she remembered to lock it this time and put a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the doorknob. Third-person POV. At 8 p.m., the ship arrived at the port and the passengers started to get off the ship. Claire walked into the ship and knocked on Taylor's door. "Miss Taylor. Are you there?" Claire asked. I'm here," Taylor replied. The moaning from inside the room caused Claire to take a step back before she braced herself and said, "Can we get a picture of you in front of the ship before you go home?" "Oh God." Taylor accidentally let out a moan from behind the closed door before she replied, Yes, I will, please wait in front of the ship, I will be going there soon." "Oh, okay." Claire was flabbergasted when she realized that the young teenage pop star was doing someone inside her room. To give her some privacy and avoid the scandal, she cleared out all of the other rooms and left the star alone without any disturbance for her to complete what, or more accurately who she was doing. "Hopefully she will rate our service 5 stars after this," Claire mumbled to herself as she continued to provide the aftercare for the guests. The drunk guest would be escorted home by a member of the same sex, and the dancers also took some pictures in front of the ship to be used for promotional purposes. As they knew it was Edward's family business, there was no one there that would not spare the effort to do something to help the prodigious artist. After 15 minutes, Taylor finally got out of her room while walking a bit funnily. "You bastard." She cursed the other guy walking behind her. "How did you have the strength to go at it for that many hours?" "Well, I am still young. Besides, you enjoyed it, right?" Edward muttered. "Well, it's all your fault that I can't walk properly. Now, everyone will know that I'd fucked someone on the ship." "Me? You're the one who kept begging me to keep going," Edward said and grabbed her ass before they giggled and walked together to the deck. They didn't get off together as it would create a scandal, therefore Edward waited in his room for a while before getting off and hitched a ride with one of the crew members who was getting ready for the morning shift in the marina. "Dylan, you bought a new car?" Edward asked. "Yup. It cost me $1,000 this time. The Cougars gave me some money after that night, and I can afford it," Dylan said in embarrassment. "They also gave you something else," Edward teased. "Shut it. It's already cured," Dylan said in agitation before they laughed together and Dylan drove Edward home. Chapter 52, Second Gacha. Edward POV. I will eat later," I thought as I slowly stepped on the stairs to go to my bedroom. Dad had substituted Dwayne's shift for tonight's cruise, therefore I was alone in my home right now. The after party was enjoyable, but it took out a lot of my stamina. Taylor texted me as I got home to say that she will deliver my birthday present to my house personally tomorrow before she flew to New York for her next concert tour. Although I was hungry, I wanted to sleep more than I wanted to eat my dinner. I fell into a deep sleep at 9 p.m. that night without even checking my messages. When the clock strikes 12, my idle phone suddenly was blown up with notifications. "Phil, happy birthday E-Money. Abby, happy birthday dummy. +1. +1. +1. The phone was busily ringing the notifications and trying its hardest to wake me up from my sleep, but I was already transported someplace else. As I fell asleep on May 4th, that was my birthday, I was brought into the white space once more. However, there was a giant, 10 meters tall lottery machine in front of me connected to a supercomputer instead of the box I used to pull out my gacha prizes before this. The Karmic Lottery. I said as I finally realized where I was right now. Why has it changed so much? I muttered as I walked to the giant computer. Without me clicking on it, the computer screen started up as I was nearby and a computerized voice suddenly spoke. Hello. I am Life. I am your karmic guide for this evening. Wait. An AI? I was baffled by the sudden development of the Afterlife Corporation and couldn't help but ask, didn't I get a small box before? Why did you come out now? Lottery method was picked at random when you were transported to the Afterlife station. A few other lottery methods were picking a card, rolling a dice, ladder game, and anything that used luck in its equation. To get a working and fair lottery method was the first step in using the Karmic Gacha. In other words, getting a working lottery method is a gacha in the first place. I finished the AI sentence. That is correct. I am an automated gacha system. Lottery Interactive Fantasy Equalizer. I will be conducting your lottery drawings today. Life replied and changed its screen to display my name and karmic points. Edward Newgate. Positive karma point, 162, 374. Negative karma point, -10, 243.5. 1 gacha roll, 6 karma points. 1 high quality roll, green and above 66 karma points. 1 special category roll, 666 karma points. 1 negative roll, 6/66/666 karma point. Wait a minute, 153,000? I widened my eyes in shock as I saw my karma point. Why do I have so much? To get karma points, you need to drastically change the life of those around you and yourself. Your songs have touched a lot of people's hearts and changed a few lives. Therefore, your karma point was increasing exponentially. In the next session, it is estimated that you would have millions of karmic points. Holy! I rubbed my head in disbelief and my jaw was hanging half open as I stared blankly at the screen. Suddenly, I saw a tiny envelope icon at the edge of the big screen and said, "Is that a mail for me?" Yes. Do you want to check the mail now? Life asked. Yes. I nodded. The screen flashed and changed into the mail content. Good evening, Mr. Edward Newgate. After a thorough review process, we found out that you had been illegally registered to become an afterlife agent. Considerations about removing you from our agent list had been made. However, you managed to justify your ability to become an agent by surpassing the 100,000 positive karma points collected in less than a month after settling on a new world. Your achievement also had allowed the punishment for the Grim Reaper, Mr. Theodore Hudson, to be reconsidered, and he would be spending only 1,000 years in purgatory instead of the original punishment of spending 5,000 years to atone for his sins. Wait. He is captured? That train conductor guy? I muttered in surprise as I finally understood why the guy was rushing when he sent me away on the red train. Life answered, yes. He had abused his power to send a soul into another world without permission from the superiors. I see, I muttered as the feeling of guilt started gnawing into my heart. The latter part of the letter was just congratulatory words for me, as I had truly become an agent of the afterlife. They also mentioned continuing to observe my actions for a period of time, but I didn't care about that. Life. Can I return the email to the Afterlife Corp? I asked with some expectation. As the AI was a semi-intelligent being, I was hoping that I may be able to contact the Afterlife Corp using him. You may. Do you want to send a handwritten letter or to type it out? Life asked. I will just type it out. I said, and hopefully my words would reach the Afterlife Corp customer service team. The purpose of my letter was to help out the Grim Reaper guy and beg for the Afterlife Corporation forgiveness on his behalf. I even offered to quit being an agent if his sentence would be reduced from it. However, it seemed that once you become an agent, the process would be even harder to reverse than reversing a purgatory sentence. After exchanging mails for almost 10 times with the corporation, finally they decided to give me an option to help out the Grim Reaper guy. For every 100,000 positive karma points I offered to them, they would use it to reduce the Grim Reaper's punishment for 10 years. Phew. Finally I can do something for him. I muttered while wiping my sweaty forehead from the tension of negotiating before this. Okay. First, let's clear out the negative karma before proceeding with anything else. I said to Life. Positive karma point, 162, 374 152, 130.5. Negative karma point, minus 10, 243.50. Would you like to use the roll now? Life asked. Not yet. Offer 150,000 positive karma to the Afterlife Corp to reduce the Grim Reaper's punishment. Life hesitated and asked, Are you sure? The offering won't give you any benefits, nor will it help your life as an agent. I'm sure. I replied without hesitation. Positive karma point, 152, 130.52, 130.5. Negative karma point, 0. Okay. That's great. So he can reduce 15 years of the sentence, right? I asked with a smile on my face. Third-person POV. He has a clear conscience, and he didn't hesitate, nor did he feel it was a loss when trying to help a strange guy he had never known before. And male afterlife worker with slicked back hair and wearing a formal office worker outfit said, Henderson. Why are your observations on him saying he is inadequate as an agent? He is clearly an agent material. Like the Dalai Lama. The male worker asked his co-worker who was standing behind him. He is struggling hard to accept the fact that he had transmigrated to another world. He lives in grief every day as he couldn't process his emotion in dealing with the loss of a loved one. His actions in offering the karmic point is with a clear conscience as he didn't think he deserved to be an agent. Mrs. Henderson said without any change in her stoic expression. The male worker named Gongshin sighed and said, Okay. I'll trust your assessment. As he turned his back toward Mrs. Henderson, he said, You remember that you should only observe him, right? You shouldn't interfere with his life. I know. Mrs. Henderson said. Gongshin sighed again and walked toward the infinite drawers next to the office before his stoic face turned into a smiling one. You did good by interfering, Henderson. He turned to look at the teacher from afar and said, Too bad God didn't want me to tell you about that. Otherwise, you will fail the test to become an afterlife superior. He waved politely at the stoic Henderson before the female teacher just turned back and walked away from the afterlife office and returned to the mundane world. It will be a long, long test, Gongshin muttered in exasperation. After getting the offering from Edward, Gongshin announced loudly to his group of workers there. In the afterlife, there is a saying. When you do a good deed for yourself, then you will only do a good deed for yourself. But, when you do a good deed for others, it may impact more than just the person you helped, and may even help the entire world. For Edward's deeds of offering the karmic point to the prisoner, his offerings will be doubled in value as he was sincere in wanting to help another person. Therefore, we will cut down 30 years out of Theodore's sentence and give him a minor good luck buff for his next lottery. The worker clapped for Edward as Theodore was one of their co-worker before this, and a really nice guy. All of them were hopeful that he would be released soon from his punishment. Therefore, they were rooting for Edward to get a lot of karma points next time he came by so that he could reduce Theodore's sentence once more. Gongshin smiled and turned his face away from the rest of the workers before his face changed to stoic. When you received the reward this time, would you still want to offer your karma point for someone else? Or will human greed ruin you like they did all the other humans before? Edward POV. Before I could get an answer for the sentence reducement, Life said, Edward Newgate. You only have 10 more minutes inside the karmic station. Please proceed with your lottery immediately. Oh. Okay. What do you recommend? I asked the AI. Take 3 special category prizes and 2 high-quality prizes. You may keep the 0.5 karma point for the next session. Okay. Do that. I said to the AI and watched my 130.5 karma points being drained out, leaving only 0.5 positive karma on my status screen. Would you like to draw out the prizes one by one, or all at the same time? Life asked. Just do it all at the same time. I said to not waste time any longer. Suddenly, celebratory fireworks appeared on the screen as 5 prizes of different colors were drawn out. The quality of the prices was as follows: white, green, purple, red, gold. Green being the lowest quality, and gold being the highest one. However, I managed to draw out 2 golden prizes and 3 red prizes in my roll today. Jackpot! I exclaimed after seeing the colors of the prizes. Which one would you like to open first? Life asked. Open the 3 red ones first. I replied. The red gacha ball disappeared and only left a few texts to show me what I had gotten. Yuri Katsuki, talent, dance. Noah Cutler, DC calculator, skill, algorithm making. Kim Seo Jun, skill, godly massage techniques. Oh. Dance talent? I muttered to myself, not expecting an answer, but the AI suddenly interjected. The dance talent is considered a red one as Yuri Katsuki has great hand-eye coordination and flexibility. He managed to win several ice dancing competitions from this talent. I was stunned for a while before I asked, "Oh. You can explain about the prizes too?" "Yes. I am an AI." Life insinuated. I nodded in acknowledgement and said, "Okay." Then, explain the next 2 skills. It seemed that I had a lucky day today as I managed to draw out the AI-based lottery system and 5 top-tier prizes from the gacha. Noah Cutler managed to trick even the best detective in the world by creating algorithms to predict his future action. This skill is only focusing on algorithm making for computers as you don't have Noah Cutler's superintelligence to develop it into a superpower. Simple enough. I muttered in acknowledgement. I also don't want to be a villain. Good choice. Life said, making me smile as he became more lifelike the longer I spent time with him. The beautifying massage was created by a medicine practitioner in Shaanxi. After he was forcefully married to an ugly wife, he vowed to make his wife the prettiest woman in the whole world as he fell in love with her personality a year after they got married. As he massages his wife daily using this technique for 10 years, his wife becomes the most pretty woman in Shaanxi and he had to fight off multiple monarchs and sect leaders who had fallen for his wife. As you didn't have the QI energy necessary to use this full technique, you wouldn't be able to achieve what Kim Seo Jun had achieved. You will only be able to use a part of it. The reward will also increase your dexterity by 20%. Damn, I gulped my saliva before turning my attention to the golden gacha roll. Open up the golden prizes. Vandalio, a special ability, parallel thoughts, multitasking ability. Mike Ross, special ability, eidetic memory. Before I could react to the golden gacha, the AI, Life said, "Your time in the karmic station is over. Prolonged staying time will have an adverse effect on your soul. You will be kicked out from this space at 10, 9, 8, 7. It's okay, Life. I hope to see you again in my next session. I hope to see you soon. 3, 2, 1, goodbye Edward Newgate." Goodbye, I waved at the computer before my vision turned dark once more. All from Lottery Wheel LOL. I woke up a few minutes after finishing my gacha drawings as my phone notifications had finally won a hard battle to get me to notice them. Suddenly, I felt a burning and piercing sensation in my brain as if someone had stuck a hot needle inside of it. Fuck. I cursed as the pain became stronger with each passing by. I tried to hold my head, but then the very same sensation struck my hands as my dexterity was being forcefully increased. Then, the dance talent kicked in. My bones started creaking, and I felt like an army of ants were crawling underneath my skin, pulling my muscles and biting me all over my body. That was when I knew how lucky I was in my first gacha to not draw something with physical improvement prizes. Crack asterisk crack crack. As if a chiropractor was cracking my body, a lot of bone cracking sounds were produced from my bones. From an initial height of 170 centimeters, I jumped into a height of 175 centimeters from the physical improvement session. Arg! I let out a blood-curdling scream and blood dripped from my nose, staining my blue bed sheet. Finally, I couldn't stand the pain any longer and passed out on my bed with my eyes rolled back into my skull. Daybreak arrives and it's almost 7 a.m. It was time for me to get to school today. I walked out of the shower wearing a white towel wrapped on my waist and was trying to clean the dried out blood in my nose. Luckily, Dad didn't enter my room when he got back home. I muttered in relief as I threw my bedsheet into the washing machine before changing into semi-casual clothes. My mind feels clearer than ever, maybe too clear, I muttered as I could even recall the memory of me breastfeeding at an early age after getting the eidetic memory special ability. I walked out of the house to grab my bike when Abby suddenly stopped her new car in front of my house. "Hey, handsome. Want a ride?" Abby asked me teasingly. My eyes instantly turned to the blue Ford Shelby GT500 convertible and I couldn't help but whistled involuntarily as I looked at the new car. "Damn, today is my birthday, so why are you the one who got a gift?" I said as I casually hopped over the car door and sat next to Abby. Then, a memory suddenly popped out inside my mind, and I couldn't help but look weirdly at Abby after that. Did you get taller?" Abby asked in confusion as she looked at me up and down. "Answer my question first," I said. Abby smiled gleefully and said, "Isn't it pretty? Mom got it at a police auction for under $1,000. Her mom actually bought it to bribe her as she was continuously feeling depressed after the breakup. When they returned to New York, she would just sell the car to someone else instead of bringing it with them." "Nice," I muttered. "Let's go." "Wait. Before that," I said suddenly, causing Abby to brake the slowly moving car in surprise. "What? Did you leave something at home?" Abby asked. "No. Today is my birthday." I looked at her playfully. She was confused and said, "I know. That's why I'm picking you up." "No, what I meant was," I tapped my right cheek with my finger and said, "Where is my birthday kiss?" "Hey, we had already broken up," Abby replied. "Yeah. I know. This is just a friendly birthday kiss. Not a lover's kiss," I said teasingly to the shy Abby. "Shut up, or I will make you walk to school." Abby warned me and stepped on the gas pedal angrily. "Wait. I will pick up Haley first," Abby said as she calmed down and drove by the Dunphys. Haley sneaked out of her house and jumped on the back of the car. "Happy birthday, Ed," Haley said and gave me a peck on the cheek, causing Abby to widen her eyes. "I told you it's a friend's kiss," I teased me, causing Abby to become angry once more while Haley was confused as to what we were talking about. Abby sent me to middle school first before getting to her high school with Haley. As I got out of the car, Haley asked, "Hey, did you get taller?" "I guess." I smirked and said to Abby, "Last chance." "No." She huffed angrily and hurriedly drove the car to her school, causing me to laugh. The memory that popped out was a memory during our first meeting. At that time, I was admiring a blue Ford convertible when I first saw her. It can't be, right? I thought, as I knew the goth girl didn't have an interest in that type of car before this. Chapter 53, Quiet Birthday. Edward POV. Middle school. Mrs. Henderson's science class. "Hey, are you okay?" Jacob asked me whisperingly as he sat at the table behind mine. "I'm fine," I said as I stuck a rolled-up tissue paper into my bloody left nostril to stop the bleeding. "Edward, why don't you call your dad to pick you up? You should go home and rest," Jenna said with a face full of concern. The reason for my nosebleed was that I tried to use that new parallel thinking ability of mine during the class lecture for a long time. "I'm really fine. This will stop soon," I said perfunctorily while looking at the board in front. 30 minutes is my limit right now, huh? I thought as I glanced at Jenna, who had given up in trying to convince me and was playing with her phone instead of focusing in class. When I first saw her today, I was greatly surprised when I saw she had worn a long-sleeved black shirt with a round neck instead of a low-cut top as she usually wore, and a long, brown plaid shirt to match the t-shirt. She even wore a cute pink headband on her head compared to the usual blown-up hairstyle. Is she changing herself because of me again? I thought as I remembered a short interaction with her last week where I unconsciously praised her for wearing a fashionable outfit for school, and that outfit just turned out to be more modest than her usual clothes. I would usually just forget about those types of things, but the eidetic memory I received allowed me to recall all of my memories from the time I was a baby. The reason I had a nosebleed was because I found several weird details in my memory, and was checking them using my parallel thinking ability. Why is she looking more and more gloomy nowadays? I thought as I stole a glance at her. Maybe it was because the gap between her slutty mode and her new modest persona was too far. I couldn't help but to take a close look at her for the first time. Time passed by quickly, and the science class was finally over. Jenna waited for Elsa, who herself waited for Jacob, who in turn waited for me. Mr. Newgate. Can you stay back for a minute? Mrs. Henderson said before I could stand up from my seat. Okay. I replied happily before turning to Jacob. Go to the cafeteria without me. I'll come to see you there in a while. Okay, Jacob replied in dissatisfaction. I turned to Jenna and said, why are you dressing like that today? She fidgeted as she didn't expect the question. She actually used to wear dresses like this. It wasn't till middle school when she started dressing like a whore. Elsa snide, causing Jenna to slap her arm. Hey! It looked cute on you. I said before Jenna could argue with Elsa. She froze in her spot and her eyes were blinking wildly as she couldn't believe her ears. Flashback. After the concert, Mr. Green drove Elsa and Jenna to Elsa's house where she would stay with her friend today. Why are you looking restless? Is it because of boys, or because of that boy? Mrs. Green asked. He won't even look in my direction. He won't ever fall in love with me. Now, he's already out of my reach. Once that slut on stage makes a move, I'm over. Jenna complained to Mrs. Green. SS slut. Mind your words, Jenna. You went to Catholic school. Mrs. Green said, flabbergasted. Jenna realized that she accidentally let her true personality out and apologized hurriedly and turned into a meek little child once more. Jenna was suddenly taken aback as instead of admonishing her, Mrs. Green patted her head softly. It'll be hard to get that boy. Especially since you fell in love with him first. But I will be honest with you, even if you got him right now, you won't be able to keep him for long. Why? Jenna asked with teary eyes. You need to find yourself first, and fall in love with that part of you, before you can make others feel the same way. Jenna retorted, but I do love myself. Do you? Mrs. Green asked with a smile, causing Jenna to be taken aback once more. I know you've been lying to me. I know that for a fact, because I used to be like that too. Mrs. Green said in embarrassment. She turned to look at Mr. Green and said, but he loves me for who I am, even though I bring him nothing but trouble. That was when I really looked inside, and asked myself, is this who I really am? And is that person someone I could love, the same way that he loves me? That is when I decided to change myself, not for him, but for me. Won't he leave you if he doesn't recognize you anymore? Jenna asked in hesitation. Mrs. Green finally turned to Jenna and said, honey, he saw me for who I really was a long time before I saw myself. I don't know if the boy you're in love with has the same capability, but, trust me, the longer you're in this path of self-hate, the more suffering you will have to endure in the future. Flashback ends. What's with the huge reaction? I chuckled after seeing Jenna frozen in her spot. And nothing. Jenna said before grabbing Elsa's arm and ran away to the cafeteria together. Jacob turned to me, and then to the girls, and to me again before he said, I'ma get you something to eat before all the good food is gone. Sure. I ignored the trio as they got out of the class and walked to Mrs. Henderson's desk. Did you enjoy the concert? I asked her after Jacob told me she was there. It was adequate. Mrs. Henderson replied with a stoic face. Mr. Newgate, I believe that you're a gifted man. And yet you say that with little to no change in your expression. Sorry, go on. One of the students for the academic decathlon had defected back to North Korea before he could participate in the competition. The school is now one member short in our decathlon team, and I was hoping that you would help us and represent the school in the upcoming competition. I mulled about the offer for a while before I replied, I'm sorry, Mrs. Henderson. I don't think I want to do it. There is no benefit for me in entering the competition. Mrs. Henderson said, didn't you say your aim is to become the top student for your year? Even if you scored full marks for every paper in the final exam, you won't be able to become one. Raising one of my eyebrows up, I said, what do you mean by that? Your previous exams' performances were horrendous. This year, the school has changed into a cumulative grading system instead of just taking the results of the final exam. Therefore, you need to score good marks throughout the whole year to become the top student. I exclaimed as I fell into a deep thought. But, I can offer you a supplementary test so that you can make up for your lack of GPA in the previous exams. On the condition that I enter the decathlon, right? I said. You catch on quick, Mr. Newgate. Mrs. Henderson raised the corner of her mouth slyly, but only for a split second before returning to her stoic face once more. Can you do that? I asked. The principal already gave his word for this. Mrs. Henderson said. I sighed in defeat and said, let me think about it for a few days. When do you need my answer? I can give you 2 days to think about it. I will need the answer by Friday. Mrs. Henderson said. I nodded and asked, anything else you want to talk to me about? Nothing else. You can go now. Mrs. Henderson said. I turned my back to her as I walked out of the class before she suddenly called out. Wait. Mr. Newgate. I turned toward her once more in confusion, then my eyes widened as I saw a small gift box in her hand. Happy birthday, Mr. Newgate. I smiled and took the gift politely before I said, thanks, Mrs. Henderson, and hugged her lightly. She was startled at first, but then she hugged me back for a split second before pushing me away. I chuckled and waved goodbye at her before I walked to the cafeteria. I didn't expect to get a gift this year. But after thinking about it, she did always give out gifts to her students on their birthday every year, and it's usually the same exact thing. A reference book. But why does mine feel like plastics? I thought as I unwrapped the gift slowly. Ah. A computer game, for math. My excitement flatlined as I read the name of the game. And here I thought the Grinch had grown a heart. I put the CD case inside my locker before joining the rest of the group at the cafeteria. There was Jacob, Elsa and Jenna on one side while Alex sat by herself on another table, and Enid also sitting alone on the table near the wall. I gestured to Jacob, who was waving at me to wait for a minute before approaching Alex. Hey, why don't you join us at our table? I asked. Alex was startled by me suddenly appearing next to her while she was focusing on her book and almost dropped it. She fixed her glasses as she turned toward me and said, What? Why do you want me to join you? I'm not qualified to join the popular table. Nonsense. It's a friend's table, not a popular table. I said and urged her to come with me. No. I'd rather study. Alex replied in hesitation. Alex. Today is my birthday. Are you going to reject my request on my birthday? I asked her using a serious tone. She fiddled with her fingers before saying, Okay. I'll join you. I nodded with a smile on my face and brought her to the popular table. I think everyone already knows each other, so I will skip the introduction. I said as I called Alex to sit next to me. Jenna glared at her, causing her to flinch. But she just took 3 deep breaths before finally taking her seat. You're the girl I mistook for a boy before, Jenna said while looking at Alex up and down. Alex flinched before she said with a stutter, Why yes. You're also the smartest girl in the school, right? Jenna asked again. A bit confused, Alex said warily, Well, I wouldn't say the smartest. She is. Elsa suddenly interjected. What are you guys doing? You want her to do your homework or something? I said with a smile as I saw Alex being stared at by the 2 predators. It's none of your business. Jenna replied with a slight smile. I was taken aback by her new personality, and I couldn't help but feel intrigued at what she was going to do. In any case, Alex is my best friend. You better not bully her. I said. What? Jacob shouted with a face full of betrayal. I am your best friend. I shrugged and said, I can have two best friends. Alex was also stunned when she heard me officially naming as my best friend. She grabbed my sleeves and said, Really? I looked at her and said, Yes. I see, Jenna muttered ambiguously before Jacob asked, Why did Mrs. Henderson ask you to stay back? Ah. That. She wants me to enter the decathlon team. Alex brightened up and said hurriedly, So. What did you say? I told her I would think about it. I answered as I patted Alex's head before the bell rang. Third-person POV. As Edward and Jacob rushed to the next class, Alex suddenly found herself being surrounded by the two hyenas while she was getting some books at her locker. WW, what do you want? Alex asked while bringing her hand up to cover her chest. We just want to talk to you. Elsa said and slammed one hand on the locker behind Alex. I know judo. Alex warned her with shaky eyes. Suddenly, Jenna grabbed one of Alex's hands and looked her straight in the eyes. Can you teach me how to study? Jenna asked in a begging tone. Alex's brain short-circuited and she muttered, What? To study, Jenna said in embarrassment while Elsa laughed at her. She had been looking for tutors to help her learn how to study better, but no one was willing to take the job, or those who did had some ulterior motives. WHY? Alex pushed her glasses up and asked. Well, there is someone who told me he would go out with me if I got second place in the school final exam. Ah, why not first place? Alex asked in curiosity. Elsa replied, Well, he said the first place was going to be his. Alex thought for a while before she narrowed her eyes and said, Sounds like a narcissistic bastard that I know. It's Edward, isn't it? While Alex was talking with the girls, Enid walked by and mumbled to herself, Must be nice. Then, she realized that she was longing for friendships, therefore she slapped both of her cheeks to wake herself up and said with determination, I'm a lone wolf. I am the leader of a solo pack. I don't need friends. High school cafeteria. Abby, Haley and Tara were sitting together at the same table to eat lunch. So, are we having the party or not? Haley asked. I don't know. He said he wants a quiet birthday party and just wants to focus on his work. Abby replied while pushing her hair backward. He can't complain if it was a surprise birthday party. Haley said while crossing her arms. She kept glancing at Abby while looking like a guilty person, so Tara couldn't help but ask, What's wrong with you? Haley got defensive and said, What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with me. What is wrong with you? Haley's commentary. Something is definitely wrong with me. She said after looking at the room a few times to make sure no one else would hear her. So, last Sunday, after the concert when I got home, I kinda did something. Flashback starts. While lying on her bed alone in the room, Haley couldn't help but put her hands on her chest while muttering, So, that's how his hands feel like. Memories about the concert surfaced inside her mind. And instead of Taylor who was singing next to Edward, she could clearly see herself up there. Her left hand couldn't help but go underneath her shirt, and her right hand was sliding underneath her pants as she clearly remembered the sensation of his hand on her chest before. Suddenly, the door of the room was opened, causing Haley to yelp and roll sideways, making her fall to the floor. What the hell are you doing, you idiot? You scared me. Alex said as she entered the room in her pajamas, and just finished brushing her teeth before bed. No, nothing. I wasn't doing anything. Haley said with a blushing face before she stood up and said, I'm going to take a shower. In the middle of the night? Alex asked in confusion. Yes. Haley replied before locking the bathroom door and didn't get out for over an hour. Luke, who was walking by the bathroom at that same time because he wanted to head down the kitchen to get himself a glass of water, heard some distant buzzing noises that made him ask himself, why is she brushing her teeth for so long? It was confusing for him as he clearly heard the electric brush sound even before he went down the kitchen. He shrugged his shoulders and returned to his room to sleep. Haley only got out of the toilet after an hour with a refreshed face and she easily fell asleep that night. Flashback ends. Sitting on the chair, Haley continued her commentary. I mean. Laughed awkwardly, what does that even mean? Am I the type of girl who will go after my friend's ex? No. I mean, if I get her blessings, then, sure. Commentary ends. I can't do it. I can't tell Abby I have been fantasizing about her ex-boyfriend every night since the concert. Ugh, this is all Edward's fault. Haley thought in frustration as she rubbed her head violently until her hair was all messed up. Tara widened her eyes and said, "What is the matter with you? We're eating here. Now my food will taste like dandruff." Haley responded as she took offense, "I don't have a dandruff problem. Still dirty though." Abby replied mischievously as she took her plate further away from Haley. "Bitches. All of you." Haley cursed, causing the girls to laugh before she laughed together with them. "In any case, even if we want to do the surprise party, we cannot enter his house anymore," Haley said pitifully. "Doesn't he put a key inside a fake rock? Why can't we use that?" Tara asked. "Well, after we broke into his house the last time, he kinda changed the hiding place," Abby said while scratching her cheek. "So? Why don't we do it at Haley's house? I'm sure that your parents will allow you to do that," Abby said. "Yeah, we can do that. The problem is, who is going to trick him into coming over without spoiling the surprise?" Haley muttered. Edward POV. After getting home from school, I opened my laptop while sitting in the living room and was working hard to finish the Pritchett Closet's website. Thank God for eidetic memory. But, I can remember the details of my past life as clearly as day, so how is that possible? My work was easier now as I could remember the codes that I copied and pasted from the internet in my previous life instead of doing all the things from scratch. However, as I received the algorithm making skill from the gacha before this, it also came with a lot of programming knowledge and even hardware creation. If I had all of my focus in it, I can create an AI in a month. Of course, not at Jarvis level, but at ChatGPT level. I muttered in excitement as it was every programming man's dream to have their own AI to help them in their daily life. To own their very own Jarvis. I still had 2 more weeks until I needed to submit the new Pritchett's Closet website, however, I managed to do so in just a few more hours of work that day before I finally finished it. Nice! I shouted as I stretched my hand up in the air before my phone started to ring. Hello? I picked up the call and asked. Hey Ed. I got your present from Taylor. I'm on my way to your house right now, Pepper said while driving in his Mercedes convertible. Is the present expensive? I asked with a glint in my eyes. Very. Pepper smirked and replied. Hold on. I have another call, Pepper suddenly said and put me on hold. I didn't even wait for the call to reconnect and just put my handphone on speaker and placed it next to my laptop as I finalized the defense system for Pritchett's company. Jay had been complaining that Earl managed to find a hacker to return his but email prank. Therefore, I need to make the defense extra secure. I didn't know this, but the website's defense system would soon catch the attention of the FBI, and Pritchett's Closets was going to be marked as a suspicious company and be put on the FBI's watch list. It wasn't until they infiltrated the company and did a manual infiltration routine that they realized it was just a simple closets company. Pepper finished talking with the other line and finally returned to his call with me. Sorry for the long wait. Mitchell and Cameron called me and asked me to bring you to your neighbor's house. Before Pepper could continue, I asked, It's a surprise party, isn't it? No. Why would you say that? Pepper asked carefully. You forgot my middle name is Sherlock, didn't you? First evidence, my dad isn't home yet even though half an hour has passed since he got off work. Second, Mitch and Cam's sudden invitation. And the pause before you answered the question basically gave it away, Pepper. I sighed and said, okay. I will go. Let's get this over with. Pepper sniggered from the other line and said playfully, why so pouty? It is a birthday party in your honor after all. Be more excited. I am. I just wanted a quiet birthday party. I said in defeat before changing into semi-casual clothes and waited for Pepper in front of my house. We arrived quickly and I could hear the soft murmurs inside the house as we stood at the front door. Sigh, can they be more sloppy than this? Pepper said in dissatisfaction. It's like, they just threw this party together last minute. Well, spoiler alert, turned out that's exactly what they did. Chapter 54, I'm shocked. Pikachu face. Third-person POV. 20 minutes before the surprise party. The fishing line has been set, now it's time for the lure. Phil muttered after Cam showed him a thumbs-up gesture while he was on the call with Pepper. Most of the family members were in the kitchen, while the kids and the guests were in the living room. Jay sighed and said, "You put the lure first before casting the line." "It's just a metaphor, Jay." Manny interjected with a glass of milk in his hand, and a milk mustache on his face. "Ay, Papito. Why are you drinking milk now? Why don't you wait for the party?" Gloria snatched the glass from Manny's hand. "I'm drinking to forget Mom. My broken heart needs some healing after Hannah Montana shot me down in the cafeteria today after my confession. All I need's a little love in my life," exclaimed Phil. "Phil! Stop that. Go bring the confetti out of the garage." Claire walked past Jay with a cake box in her hand. "Hold on, what kind of cake did you buy?" Jay stopped Claire from rushing in for inspection. "You know, this whole thing is last minute. I can only get lemon cake." Claire said it carefully. "Lemon?" Jay asked in confusion. "Lemon?" Manny scrunched his face in disgust. "Orange?" Phil suddenly walked in from his trip to the closet with pop crackers in each of his fingers. "Phil! That's dangerous. And where is the confetti?" Claire said in frustration. "I will be getting it now. I just need some ammunition to guard against the raccoon family there." Phil replied. "You guys have a raccoon?" Manny asked. "I saw Jay run away from a raccoon once. Why don't you go join the rest of the kids?" Jay pushed Manny gently from behind to get him moving as he continued to disrupt the adults' conversations. Claire smirked, but she didn't tease her dad as she needed to shout at Phil first. "Put the popcracker down. There aren't any raccoons in there. I checked." "Fine. But I'm bringing Luke with me as an ally," Phil said before wanting to put the popcracker down, but Luke appeared out of nowhere, startling Phil. "I heard someone call my name." As Phil was startled, he accidentally dropped the popcracker in front of him and Claire, who were facing each other. Pop asterisk pop 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 pop. The mini explosions around Claire's feet caused her to jump back in fear and the cake box to slide from her hand. Jay tried to grab the cake box, but it was too late. And oh. Phil screamed in slow motion as he jumped forward to grab the cake. Bam! The cake box fell perfectly on the ground, and only the top of the box was opened, revealing a decorated yellow icing cake with Edward's name on it. But, before anyone could get relieved, Phil couldn't stop his momentum and fell on top of the cake, flattening it and splattering the cake in all directions. Claire gasped while Jay facepalmed himself as Phil slowly realized what he had done. His face turned ashen while Luke said in excitement, "That was awesome." Alex and Haley walked into the kitchen at the same time before Alex asked the question. "What happened?" Both of them gasped at the same time as they saw their dad still trying to get up from the floor with a circular cake-shaped mess on his shirt. "Dad! What have you done?" Haley asked in a horrified voice. "What are we going to eat now? We don't have anything else?" I. Phil stuttered, and then Cam and Mitch entered the kitchen together with Gloria. "Hi, Phil, what happened?" Gloria helped Phil get up from the floor, but then Phil slipped on the cream nearby and fell to the ground once more. Cam screamed in a high-pitched voice, "Oh my God, Phil." Claire helped Phil stand up at this time, and she massaged her throbbing forehead from her frustration. "What are we going to do now?" Cam asked anxiously. "I will tell you what I'm going to do. I will go outside to the backyard to make sure I get far away from this mess." Jay said and tried to walk outside before Gloria grabbed his arm and said, "You're not going anyway, mister. We're going to put our heads together and clean up this mess." Gloria. Jay tried to protest, but Gloria just gave him a glare to shut him up. Suddenly, another adult that wasn't related to the family walked into the kitchen. "Hey Claire. You didn't answer my question about the cake, therefore I just picked it up when I got home from work." Ted said this while holding a box of cake and still wearing his captain's uniform. "A hero." Phil said and tried to walk towards Ted to give him a hug before Claire shouted, "No. You stay here and clean this up. Kids, your dad needs a shower, so use him as a mop to clean up this mess." Luke was excited while Alex and Haley rolled their eyes before answering their mom, "Okay. We will do it." Claire walked toward Ted and asked, "Did you decorate it? What kind of cake is this?" "Edward's favorite. Chocolate cake," Ted said, placing the cake box on the kitchen counter before opening it. "Alex, keep an eye on your brother. Make sure he doesn't touch the cake." Claire said this before she rushed to the living room. Alex glared at Luke while he said, "What? I'm not going to steal Ed's cake again. He will add to my punishment if I do it." In the living room, Jenna, Elsa, Tara, Abby, and Jacob were helping the family decorate the living room with balloons and colorful streamers for Edward's birthday party preparations. Abby was cutting up some decoration paper to make a string of human origami on one side of the room while Elsa and Jacob were sitting on the sofa. Jenna and Tara were by the fireplace, trying to stick the streamer to the ceiling using a ladder. "Here." Elsa was handing over the balloon for Jacob to blow. She just sat beside him and complimented him every time he did a good job, without actually doing any work herself. "Bitch. Blow the balloons too. Or are you keeping your blowing energy for another purpose?" Jenna admonished Elsa while she was helping Tara stick the steamer on the ceiling. Abby and Jenna kept glancing at each other while being cautious of one another. "PFFF Jacob. You'll be so lucky tonight as your girlfriend is saving her energy just for you," Tara said playfully, making both Jacob and Elsa blush. I'll blow the balloon too." After being teased, Elsa finally started working. But then, Jacob took the balloon out of her mouth and said, "Don't tire yourself. I can do it all on my own." "But dash. You just need to stay there while looking pretty to give me strength." Jacob smiled innocently, causing Elsa to blush and hide her face from him by turning to the side. "Dummy," Elsa said while smiling from ear to ear. Jenna rolled her eyes and threw a crumpled streamer towards Jacob and Elsa. Claire passed by and said, "Okay. He's going to be here any minute now. How's the decoration?" "Almost done, Mrs. Dunphy," Tara replied. "Yeah. We're almost done too," Jacob answered. "I did it." Abby said this while showing her origami paper. "Give me," Tara said, and they put the human origami on the fireplace. "Okay. I need someone to look out the window and tell us when Edward is here," Claire said after storing the ladder. "I'll do it," Elsa said as she walked to the front door and peered through a small window. "Hey, the car is here," she said. In less than 10 seconds she became the lookout. "Come on," Gloria clapped her hands together as she returned to the living room. "Vamanos. We need to get ready." After you walk in, we yell surprise. "Okay? In position everyone," Claire said. The rest of the family moved towards the living room. All of them were there. Even Lily was there in Cam's arms. Except for Phil. "Shush." Claire shushed the group as they hid their presence while crouching behind the sofa and other places that couldn't be seen when Edward walked through the front door. "Mitch. Open it," Claire said. "Why me?" Mitch asked in confusion. "Because, you're a lawyer. You lie for a living. Go and open the door now," Claire said. "For your information, I'm an environmental lawyer dash." "Goo." All of the people there said at the same time. Mitchell finally gave up and went to open the door without realizing that Phil was just getting downstairs with a party hat on his head. Mitch opened the door with a smile after hearing the knocks and said, "Hi Ed. What brings you here?" Edward POV. "You called me here?" I replied as I saw Phil standing frozen on the stairs with a party hat on his head. He quickly tried to take it off, but he forgot about the rubber strap on the neck and accidentally choked himself as he did it hurriedly. "Phil. Go upstairs." Claire said it with a whisper that was audible to my ear. Am I supposed to pretend I didn't hear it? I thought. Mitchell. How are you? Pepper intrudes on the house and kisses Mitchell on the cheeks, Godfather style, before whispering something to Mitch. He knows. Mitchell was startled before he said anxiously, "Edward. Come on in. Cam is at the back." As I walked into the house, everyone popped out from behind their hiding spot and cheered happily, "Surprise! Edward, happy birthday!" With a monotone voice, I said, "Wow. You guys did this all for me. I didn't expect this in the least." I took out a handkerchief I prepared from my pocket and pretended to be wiping away my tears of happiness. The group was happy as they thought that they had been successful in their surprise. Phil rushed down the stairs to join in the celebration and hugged me to wish me a happy birthday. He's lying. He knows. Abby caught onto my act immediately after she studied all of my facial expressions as I reacted to the surprise. "Eh!" The group exclaimed in bewilderment as the secret was out. "Did you know it when you saw Phil with the hat?" Manny asked. Everyone looked at Phil, making him nervous. "No. He knows the moment I give him the invite." Pepper came to Phil's aid when he noticed the man was pale. Phil finally breathed in relief and said, "Anyway, let's sing him the song. Happy birthday to you." My dad came out with the cake filled with 14 lit-up candles slowly from the kitchen to where I was standing. "Make a wish, Ed," Claire said after the song was finished. "I hope this thing will be over soon." I blew out all of the candles while still maintaining a fake smile. Time at the party flew by. Meaningless conversation, birthday wishes, opening presents. Finally, I sat down at an empty seat to eat a slice of chocolate cake to rest a little. "Jay, the website is done. Pick me up at school tomorrow. I will go to set up the defense and connect the website to your company system," I said casually while taking a spoonful of cake. "Really? That's fast. You didn't slack on your job, didn't you?" Jay asked teasingly but with a hint of concern while sitting down and eating cake the same way that I was doing. "Even if I'm slacking, it won't be hard for your website to become the most advanced website in the world. You just need to wait for an award for the best closet company at Expo Internationale du Closet." Jay scoffed and said, "Kid, you're too green in the closet industry. Do you know how competitive it is to get to the expo? You need to give 100% effort and work for decades. Dad. Stop boring him." Mitchell interjected quickly before Jay could go on a full rant. "Well, if your company is paving the way with your capabilities right now, it might be hard. But what if your company invents a few products that will revolutionize the closet industry? For example, a whisper glider on the drawers to cut down on CN. How do you know CN?" Jay asked in confusion. "What's CN?" Mitchell asked. "Industry jargon for closet noise," I answered. Jay's commentary. In less than a month, that kid managed to learn almost all of the closet's industry know-how and make a few inventions of his own? I don't believe it. Jay said it with some apprehension. Then, with a nervous expression on his face, he said, "But what if, and that is a big if, what if he really did it? I mean, I know that kid is a genius. Could it be that he had really invented something so advanced? Something that will take Pritchett's closet to a greater height? We will become an industry legend if that's true." Commentary ends. The reason I had been using my future knowledge to tempt Jay was because I had poached her daughter who would one day bring the company to even greater heights. Therefore, I felt bad for him. But Claire is too important in my future plans, and has proven herself by becoming an integral part of my company in less than a month. I wouldn't let Jay take her away from me after I had trained her and given her confidence back. I thought as I munched on the cake. I sat aside the empty plate and said, not only that. I had also figured out a mechanism for alternating socks instead of just picking the socks at the top of your drawers. What do you want, kid? Jay finally decided to gamble on my words as he saw my confidence. What is happening here? Claire approached Mitchell as she felt the tense atmosphere between Jay and I. Shush, Claire. They are negotiating. Mitchell said. So you want me to rent the patent? And share the profit with you? Jay said while crossing his legs and smoking a Cuban cigar. Claire walked between Jay and I, snatched the cigar out of Jay's mouth and said, no shop talk. It's a birthday party. And Dad, there are children here. What are you thinking? Jay grimaced before he stood up and said, we'll continue this later. Bring your lawyer too. Sure. Tomorrow at 4? Okay. I'll send someone to pick you up from school. Or I could do it. Claire interjected. She turned toward me and said, go talk to your friends. I already did. I said it with some trepidation about the situation. No objections. Go. Claire urged me to go mingle. Why so pouty? It's like you don't want to celebrate your birthday. Abby asked after I sat next to her on the couch in the living room. Can I tell you a secret? I said. What? Abby turned her face to look at mine in intrigue. She no longer wore thick eyeliner or a black lipstick, and if she didn't wear a black and white outfit, no one would even think that she used to be a goth girl. I hate celebrating my birthday. As I watched Luke tease the kind giant Jacob, I smiled slightly and said honestly. Abby was stunned for a while before she said, wait. Seriously? Yup. But why? I sighed as I reminisced about my past birthdays, both in this world and the previous one. As the orphanage I used to be in was struggling financially, no one cared about the kids' birthdays over there. If we managed to have 2 meals a day, that was enough celebration for the orphans. When I was kicked out of the orphanage, I couldn't care less about my birthday. It was not until I met Grandma that she celebrated my birthday for the first time in my entire life, but it was less than a year later that I had lost her too. In this world, my birthday and the classical music competition usually fall in the same week. My parents would just give me a present, and my mother would promise me to celebrate my birthday later on, but after 5 years, I gave up on any hope that she would fulfill her promise. Dad did bring me someplace special for my birthday a few times. Just the two of us. That was nice, but now my birthday just feels like any other day. Of course, I couldn't tell Abby the true reason. Therefore, I lied and said, it just seemed childish. Abby was stunned for a while before she pouted and whispered to herself, liar. Hey Ed. What do you want for your birthday? Jenna suddenly sat next to me and asked. The 3-seat sofa was now full with me in the middle, and 2 gorgeous girls by my side. A few meters away from me, Manny swirled the glass of milk in his hand and muttered, why can't I get girls like that? Should I pick up an instrument too? Does the flute count? Alex, who was walking by at the time, stopped and stared at Manny before answering his question. No. Then, she walked away, leaving behind a stunned Manny. I don't need anything luxurious. A spa session would be good enough. I said. That thing cost around $250 though. Abby muttered softly. Okay. Jenna agreed happily as there were lots and lots of spa session certificates at her house. She could just pick one of them and give it to me. Haley approached our sofa and wiggled her way next to Abby while saying, excuse me. Ed. What did Taylor give you? She asked. Ah. She gave me a guitar. I said with a hint of excitement on my face. It was a custom-made Taylor PS14 CE Grand Auditorium acoustic guitar with an inscription on it. I believe she gave me a Taylor guitar on purpose, but I can't contact her right now to talk to her, or thank her. I said it with trepidation. I did send a few texts to thank her, but she still hasn't replied to any of my texts. Should I hack into her phone to see what's going on? I was thinking quietly. Not that I was feeling possessive of her, but the sudden shutdown of communication wasn't in line with her personality. I was afraid that the agency had limited her freedom and taken away her phone, so I needed to do something to confirm my suspicions. How much does something like that cost? Haley asked as she saw Luke fiddling with the guitar. Surprisingly, Luke has a pitch-perfect ability and managed to learn a song in just a few minutes. Although it was just a simple Doraemon song that he learned from me, he did it regardless. Pepper, who was walking behind the couch, stopped as he heard the question and felt the need to clarify how luxurious Taylor's gift to me was. With the custom-made requirement for Edward, and the inscription, something like that could go for more than 10 grand. Luke. Put the guitar down now. Haley stood up quickly and ran to where Luke was sitting before snatching the guitar away from him. The party ended, and everyone returned to their own house after saying goodbye to each other. As we stood in front of the Dunphys' house, Abby grabbed my face and kissed my cheek unexpectedly. Happy birthday! My gift to you is the car I'm driving right now. I will transfer the ownership to you before I go back to New York. I was incredibly baffled when I heard that. After recollecting myself, I smirked and said, "So, you still remember what I said to you when we first met, huh?" Abby blushed and said, "This is just a coincidence. I didn't buy the same car you said you like because I think it will be meaningful or something." It's very meaningful. I think that this is the best gift I have gotten today, I said and hugged her sincerely, earning a whistle from Jacob. He was then punished instantly by Elsa as he had rooted for the wrong girl. Not only that, you also offered to drive me everywhere for the next few weeks, whenever I needed a ride. That's so thoughtful. You're the best, Abby, I said. Abby smiled as she heard that. Okay. Don't be mellow with me now. I finally released her, but then Abby saw I had an evil grin on my face, and she quickly caught on to what I had tricked her into. Wait. I made no mention of driving you. Too late. No backsies, I said before I waved goodbye at the group and rushed home. Bastard! Abby yelled from afar. Tara held her shoulder and said, "Just give up, Abby. You lost this time." Third-person POV. Dunphy's house. Why didn't you give him your gift? Alex asked Haley before they were going to sleep. Shut up. Haley replied with a sad tone. You know he won't ridicule you for giving him something handmade. Alex encouraged her once more. Haley got annoyed by her sister's constant questioning, turned her head that was resting on the pillow, looked at Alex, and said, "What about you? Did you give him your gift?" I did. He said that he would make good use of it, Alex said with a hint of pride in her tone. Despite the fact that he wouldn't take the SAT for another 3 years, she had given Edward a SAT-level reference book and practice questions. Edward was flabbergasted when he saw the gift, but he accepted it gratefully as he knew Alex had tried her best to think about the gift that would benefit him the most. Ugh. Haley covered her head with the pillow to avoid listening to Alex. Her little sister shook her head and rested her head on the pillow before she heard Haley say something in a muffled voice, "I can't give him that, can I? Not after the other girls had given him expensive gifts." Alex paused for a while before she said, "That's true. Your gift is kind of worthless if you think about it." Haley got mad and threw her pillow at Alex. "Shut up and go to sleep, Dash." But it doesn't mean that he would hate it. You won't know it until you give it to him. Your designs, I mean. Please don't sew the clothes yourself. You'll make a mess in our room. Alex said before ending it with, "Good night, Haley." Good night, Haley replied while falling into a deep thought. Chapter 55, Working Hard. Third-person POV. Inside of Jay's car. As the family drove home from Claire's house, Gloria asked with a dissatisfied expression, "You see him not smiling much? He must have missed his mother." She turned her face to look at Jay, who was sighing as he heard the same statement more than 10 times today. Jay spoke calmly, "Maybe he's just mature. At a certain point in your life, a surprise birthday party just seemed boring. Gloria pursed her lip in dissatisfaction and said, "What if I'm right, Jay?" Huh? What if he's feeling bad dash? Depressed? Manny interjected to give Gloria the word. Yes. That. Gloria nodded to thank Manny before staring at Jay again. What do you want me to do then? He said, admitting defeat. Gloria finally smiled and said, "You don't have to do much. Just invite him to our house and let him know we would always be there for him." Jay retorted, "Well, always is such a long time." Gloria glared at him, causing him to change his words, "Always it is." Dunphy's house. In the kitchen, Claire and Phil, both in their robes, were drinking warm milk before going to bed. "I'm telling you, Claire. Something is bothering him. He faked a smile the entire time he was here," Phil said with some concern in his voice. Faked a smile? Really? Claire scrunched her face in disbelief before sipping the warm milk in the mug while holding the cup with both hands. He's not a TV series main character. He could be if he wants to, Phil retorted. Claire sighed and said, "I guess something is bothering him. I'm going to talk to him to find out what." Edward POV. After I went home from my surprise party, I turned on my laptop and continued working on my mobile game and development, Flappy Bird. My fingers tapped the keys on the keyboard with high speed as a result of my enhanced dexterity. Nice. Adding parallel thinking to the equation, I think I can finish a 2,000-word essay in just an hour. A pixelated yellow bird was flying on the screen while passing the hurdle smoothly as my finger tapped the up key on my laptop without missing a beat. The time estimate for the game to complete can be cut down to this Friday. Then, I can do the alpha test for the game, that is, the mobile version. The basics for the game had already finished. As I based the game on the original Flappy Bird, I managed to skip the pre-development, research, character designs, world building, not that this was necessary, and fixed a few criticisms people had on the game. Not only was it branded the most frustrating game when it was launched, the addiction when playing the game became uncontrollable that a trend of people destroying their phone after losing the game went viral. I need to make sure to avoid these types of things while maintaining the ads revenue for the game. Sipping my cup of coffee, I brainstormed ideas on how to combat the addiction to the game by writing on a piece of paper. Let's see, should I code the energy feature for people to play? Like in every 10 tries, they need to wait for the energy level to be filled up first before playing again. To die in the game was effortless, therefore people would keep trying until hours for them to beat their own high score. If I used the energy feature to start the game, people's interest in the game would lessen, and the revenue I was aiming for would be threatened. Or, should I increase the sensitivity of the bird's motion? I guess I need to get data from various groups for this one if they found the game was too hard. I will do it during beta testing then. I rubbed my chin in contemplation while mumbling. Flappy Bird was released during the time smartphone usage became widespread. Should I really release the game now? To release the game early would bring me premature reactions from the game players in the world. Although the game wasn't banned, the extreme reactions from the game caused the owner of the game to feel guilty about it and deleted it from Apple Store and Google Play Store. Although, he might feel guilty cause people were accusing him of ripping off the game from another helicopter game. So who knows what the real reason was. After trying to rationalize my decision, I finished my work on the game at 2 a.m. before getting to sleep. "Good morning, Ed," Dad said as he stood by the coffee pot and poured a cup of coffee for himself. "Another late night?" "Yeah," I replied as I took out some ingredients to make a sandwich for myself before going to school. "Your aunt called and wished you a happy birthday. She said she will try to stop by soon before going back to Cuba," Dad said as he sat on the kitchen counter. "My hot aunt? Sure, stop by anytime she wants," I said playfully while Dad narrowed his eyes at me. "Oh Dad, I need to go to Pritchett's closet after school. Can you pick me up there when you get home from work? I wouldn't want to make Abby wait for me until I finish my job. You're the most busy 14-year-old I've ever met. Rest a little. Go out and have fun," Dad said in a concerned tone. "I'm okay. I will rest when I earn enough to rest comfortably for the rest of my life. I replied with a smirk. Ah. Wait a minute. Dad said before he stood up from his seat and rushed to get the mail out of his bag. This is a letter from your grandma and grandpa. They couldn't wait for you to come stay with them in the summer. Scratching my cheek, I said, that's still going on? Just for the summer. We don't have to move now. You have already saved the business, and you also need to stay here in California for your music career. You will only stay for a month instead of the whole summer, so I will let you pick the date for you to go there. My apprehension on staying with my grandparents wasn't because they didn't treat me well. But there isn't any Wi-Fi over there, nor is the cellular connection great. Grandpa barely used the telephone and Grandma never learned to use it in her entire life. There really isn't much to do around the ranch. I will be bored to death there. Why don't I just stay there for a week? I negotiated. A month. Dad replied. 10 days. 3 weeks. 2 weeks. 3 weeks. 15 days. 3 weeks. I sighed as I knew my dad wasn't going to budge on this one. As I was racking my brain to convince my dad, he said, you haven't met them in 2 years as you need to attend summer school every time. They really miss you. All right. 3 weeks. I finally admitted my defeat while Dad flashed a soft smile. After school was over, Abby drove me to Pritchett's closet as promised. Don't wait up, I said to her as I got out of the car. My dad will pick me up later. That's it? Where is the driver's fee? And gas money? Abby said playfully while holding her palm out to get money from me. Where is my programming lesson fee? 2 people can play this game, I said as I pinched her palm lightly. Hey! Abby chuckled before driving away. Inside the company, I was surrounded by most of the office workers in the meeting room as they wanted to watch me set up the new website and also to badger me while I was working. Hey, did you have Taylor's phone number? Can I get your autograph? Are you and Taylor dating? Move. Move. Jay's assistant, Margaret, chased out the annoying flies from the meeting room to let me work in peace. Thanks, I said to her. She nodded and sat next to me to try and study the new website. At the top of the website, the screens were alternating with the closet designs that I received from Jay. I asked him to give me pictures that were magazine-worthy to be included, and the website displayed the professionalism of the company. Visitors that registered their details in the website would also be entitled for a free closet consultation, which was a free service for potential customers in the first place. Custom closet as unique as you are? Margaret's eyes twinkled in excitement as she saw the options on the new website. That's just the tagline, I replied. You guys can keep it if you want, and change it if you come out with better slogans. No honey, the one you make is good enough, Margaret said while patting my head. Then, she gave me a lollipop again. I took it without hesitation and ate it while I continued working. It took me an hour to finish setting up the new defense system and linking the website to the company's system. Not only did the details of the customers were kept in a tight vault, I had also cleared a tremendous amount of viruses from all of the computers inside the office. Why did you guys have so much? Did all of you watch porn on your computer while working here? I asked the IT guy in confusion. ***, maybe, the fat IT guy with a full beard replied. Jay walked into the meeting room as Margaret notified him I had finished the job wearing a black blazer as he was coming here as a company owner. Here, I put in something extra as you did a hell of a great job. Your level of expertise could kick several companies out of business if you opened up your own. Maybe in the future, I said with a lollipop in my mouth. About the patent details, my lawyer is supposed to be here at any moment. Would you like to see the technology first? Whisper glide right? Let me see it. Jay's commentary. I will make sure to be critical in judging his work and invention. I'm not doing this to leverage the condition in our negotiation, but if he wants to try out in the closet industry, he will need a tough mentality to get him through it. It's a tough industry to jump into without proper conviction. Commentary ends. The more I showed Jay about the whisper glide technology and the Sakanwell mechanism, his initial smiling face turned into a solemn one and he listened to every word I said while chiming in here and there. So, what do you think? Is this good enough? I asked him with a sly smile. Jay's commentary. He is a closet industry genius. When we discussed the closet together, he gave me such a warm feeling inside, as if he was like a son I'd never had. Jay then laughed and said, with this Expo internationally do closet would be within reach. Now, we're no longer underneath the foot of the titans of the industry. We're now the titans of the industry. Commentary ends. It's great. Jay replied curtly before standing up from his seat. I need to make a call to change the contract details. Sure. Harvey is already here. Therefore we can start the negotiation. I said. Jay nodded before he rushed out of the room while calling someone. While we were at the meeting, I also shared a few ways for Jay's company to exploit the green tax when changing their company trucks into hybrid trucks, and still come out ahead in profit and maintenance. The meeting took a long time and intense discussion before the agreement was finalized. I also received $100,000 from the company after we signed the patent agreement as down payment. In the agreement, I would be entitled to 5% profits from the sales using my technology. It was a high percentage that Jay graciously agreed to, which surprising both me and Harvey. Jay's commentary. I noticed something during the meeting. He's not looking to take advantage of my company, nor was he aiming for my money. He's trying to help me grow my company in ways that I had ignored before, and even gave the company a new direction. That kid is a genius through and through. Then, Jay sighed and said, for him to work extremely hard to help my company without looking for much in return, I guess Gloria is right, he is a little depressed. Or, he lacked the affection of a father figure that he was trying hard to prove his worth to others. Therefore, I will help him out too, as he has helped me. Commentary ends. Hey kid. You watch football? Jay asked me as I sent Harvey away to handle the contract. I remember I still had the football training memories from my first gacha prize that I haven't opened yet. Sometimes. I replied honestly. I wasn't a true fan of the sport and only watched it in a social gathering before. Good. There will be a match this Sunday. Illinois versus Ohio State. Why don't you come by my house to watch it? Gloria had been wanting to invite you to the house for some time now. Sure. I will check with Pepper first cause I don't know when he will call me to make the music video. I will confirm it with Manny later. Okay. Jay replied curtly before he drove me home after calling my dad to tell him not to come by. Are you hungry? Jay asked. A little bit. I replied. We went to a restaurant and I met with the waitress, Maxine, a 55-years-old kind lady who was a close friend of Jay. Her hair was tied up in a bun, and she was a really friendly person that wasn't stingy with her hugs. She spoke with a slight southern accent while getting our order. Who's this? One of yours? He's too handsome to come from your family, so did you kidnap him? Jay laughed and said, believe it or not, he's my business partner. Really? How old are you, kid? 16? 17? Maxine asked. He's 14. Jay replied before I could, shocking Maxine greatly. Really? Wow, you must be some kind of genius. Maxina said and patted my shoulder softly. Her gaze turned menacing as she turned to Jay. You didn't exploit him because he's a minor, right? Jay scoffed and said, if I dared to do that, Gloria would kill me. Well, it will happen sooner or later, so it doesn't matter much I guess. Maxine teased Jay while I laughed at the joke. We talked for a while and I introduced myself before we ordered. Maxine returned with our sandwiches 5 minutes later and sat next to Jay as they talked for a bit. Take a picture of him and put it on the wall. He's an artist too. He will surely be a famous person someday. Jay advised Maxine. Really? Can I do that, Ed? Maxine turned toward me with an excited twinkle in her eyes. Yes. He even did a concert last Sunday. Jay added again. I don't mind. I replied to Maxine. Wait. Let me get the camera. Maxine stood up quickly and rushed to the cashier table before getting out an old-school camera. Smile, she said as she snapped the photo. Her action caused the people around to be interested in who was at the table. Wait. Is that Edward? A random man said to his wife. Who? His wife asked. You know, the one who sings the duet with Taylor. The man explained. The wife finally recognized me from the videos on YouTube. Not only them, but a few more tables had the same reaction as that random husband and wife, and people started to chatter among themselves while pointing at me. Ah, I had disturbed your dinner. I should have done that when you're leaving. Maxine said in guilt. No need, Maxine. I need to adapt to this, so it's good that it happened. I said while waving dismissively to let her know it wasn't a big deal. Maxine smiled and said, You're a good kid. Right? Jay added. Maxine then said, Don't hang out with Jay so much. You'll only learn bad things. Jay almost spit out the coffee he was drinking while I laughed again. That night, as I settled my accounts, I realized that I had made more than $200,000 in my first month in this new world. $130,000 from Pritchett's closet, $80,000 from the concert. I should invest this money somewhere. I muttered as I opened up the stock market websites. I got extra money from the concert from the impromptu performance of the song paid for by the organizer instead of Taylor. Despite searching for so long, I still couldn't believe that no one had actually created Bitcoin in this world. I muttered with some dissatisfaction as I searched for some familiar company in the stock exchange. Not only that, there aren't any school shootings, bullying in school is less than usual, literacy rate in students are higher, and rent around California wasn't overblown. It wasn't as if the issues were hidden as there wasn't any news coverage on them, but the world was truly more stable than my previous world. Is it because I'm in a sitcom? Anyway, that's a good thing for me. I guess I don't have to wear a bulletproof vest to school. I muttered as I listed a few stocks that I had my eyes on. I need to open up a trading account first. I keep the list inside my bag before going to sleep that night. Wait. Should I open up the memory now? I muttered as I laid on the bed. I guess it won't hurt to do it now. I shrugged my shoulders before falling asleep. That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha System in Modern Family World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. What If copy system in Naruto will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if Transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a Marine? What if Transmigrated as Minato Namikaze? What if Transmigrated into a nightmare mode Dragon Ball world? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.